Sean Strickland driving that same damn old car around. Did you guys ever catch? It was like a Cribs, right? There was this show called MTV Cribs, and Cribs is like a slang for house. Many years ago, but then a whole bunch of people started ripping it off, even with their iPhone to put on their own TikTok. They wander through their house. And there's a variation of that. You come to a guy's house, and he shows you his refrigerator. You got to be like a really big weirdo to want to see that, but a lot of you are. A lot of you will go watch a random guy work out. So it's one of these things. Somebody stealing the idea of MTV Cribs came and did a piece on Sean Strickland. And he was showing his house around. I mean, I just remember it. The house, I believe, was an apartment. And I just remember the toilet. I remember he went into the bathroom, like the lid was already off, and I used to work in a plumbing company. I remember the toilet. And Sean wasn't having a hard time. He took him out to his car. What was that? It was a Honda Accent. I remember he popped the back of it. He had his workout gear in there, and he had a lot of other stuff. It looked like he'd been camping out of there. But he was happy this was his car. There was no complaint in this. Somebody asked him to show off his stuff, and he did. He showed off his stuff with the exact same positivity and outlook and attitude that the TikTok McMillionaires go and do. In the rented McMansions, they get to do the piece. It was awesome. But Sean has also been very open to say, I'm doing this for the money. I'll sell you the belt. He wasn't joking about that. He tried to sell the belt and somebody told him what it was worth and it was $1,700. He said, that's not even enough to put spinners on my Honda Accent. I guess I'll hang on to it. But he's not joking. Well, he's made himself some pretty good coin. I mean, he's about to get pay-per-view participation where each fight will make him 7 figures with an S, but he's made 7 figures. If you go look at all the fights, what did he do with it? And it appears that he saved it. Because according to the story, the way that the story is being told, he is in that same home, should we call it home? Driving that same Honda Accent. No, he upgraded his girlfriend, and I think he called her a fiance. Maybe she got some new wheels, and I can relate to that. First car I ever bought was not for me. I got it for my girl. Right? It's one of those things. You go out, but you do it for somebody else. It's what your motivation is, right? So I'm just sharing. Maybe he did something like that. But if he didn't, if he's just stacking them bricks, I can tell you, I respect it. Charles Barkley had a very famous line. He was giving advice to fellow NBA players who as a group are colossally stupid, particularly with what they do with their finances. And Charles said, your rookie year, you don't go buy a Ferrari. You save it, you wait till you retire, and you go buy a Ferrari dealership. And he might have used a different car. He might have said Mercedes, but you get the point. It was very good advice by Charles Barkley, even if not literal. And there was a football guy that did something like that, Gronkowski, and people liked him because of it. He didn't go spend his money. He even had a roommate, and they played video games, and they were in an apartment. He stayed in the same apartment with the same roommate, drove the same car. And I mean, that lasted for a really long time. He now is retired. I'm sure that's not the situation now. But I will speak to the idea. I don't mind a guy upgrading. Like, I don't mind a guy going and doing what Conor McGregor did. You go out there and you want to enjoy, right? A lot of things you got to do in life, but having a little bit of fun is one of them. I don't mind a guy going in that direction. I wouldn't give Sean a hard time if he did. But I will tell you, it's very rare that guys don't. And those guys are different, and they get looked at different. They get appreciated different. The one difference in Stipe Miocic and every other heavyweight that you've ever seen is Stipe didn't change a thing. And a lot of that had to do because of the fire department. That's who he was. Those were his people. Same girl, same city. Kept him what the kids call grounded. And maybe he wasn't living as meager as Sean Strickland, but I think that you see the comparisons. And I don't want Sean to see this and then think like this is tied to his success and he can't go out and get a a bigger place or a car under warranty. I don't want him to think that. That's not my message, but it is something that does make him a man of the people. They very seldomly come as advertised. I mean, you go get on board with an athlete who's out there pretending to be somebody because he thinks it's the right answers. That is 100% the opposite of what Sean did. Sean never gave you the answers or the attitude or the image that he thought any of you or them, meaning sponsors and people on that side of it, wanted. You asked him for an interview. If he agreed to the interview, he would give you an interview, which means if you ask him a question, he will answer your question. Not he will manufacture it. And how many of the guys, particularly within sports, how many guys have you got behind only to get your heart broken at some point? Remember that nerd? Remember that nerd with all the medals, Michael Phelps? Remember that guy? And you know a guy's a nerd for a few reasons. I don't want to put Phelps down, but this is a dork, right? Anytime a guy tells you his diet, particularly if you didn't ask, but even if you did ask, if a guy actually does it, he's a dork. And I remember that this Phelps is eating 12,000 calories a day. Like, first off, that's not true. But second off, that's just weird that you would tell us. Like, there's some stuff. So you get behind Phelps and he sets a record. And he went out there, was it 22 medals? 21 goals, something crazy. Most successful Olympian ever, over Carl Lewis, over everybody. Turns out he's smoking the drugs, and then he couldn't even fess to it when he was caught. It was a learning experience. I mean, they just break your heart. Because they don't come as advertised, because they give the pocketed answers. They think that's what they're supposed to do. And then you have a guy like Sean. I'm just sharing with you, like, this is an experiment. This has really never been done. I've really never seen anything quite like this. Where a guy who they were trying to cancel, but he refused to let him, and he happened to work for the only guy in America that wouldn't give in, is now an inspiration. He hasn't changed. He has not changed. He didn't change in that, well, Chael, he's the world champion. No, he kicked somebody's ass and a belt came with it. He'd been kicking ass since before I knew him. The day I met him, he'd already whipped 17 men. I'm just telling you, he hasn't changed. I was given a piece of advice by Roddy Piper one time. And Roddy Piper told me, don't do anything different. Everybody hated me. They all hated me. So don't do anything different. Eventually, they will love you for the exact same things they currently hate you for. Do not see the hate and think that you need to change. I didn't know what it meant. I didn't know what it meant when he said it. I hadn't seen it. I didn't understand the psychology. I was a younger guy. I didn't know what it meant. But I do know what it means now. And I did see it, and I did feel it, and I'm seeing it with Sean. And it was to the point that Robert Whittaker talked to the media recently and talked about how Sean won over the Australian people. And I must tell you, I watched everything Sean did in Australia. I did not know that. Sean got to Australia. He had to hit somebody got hit in the stomach. Extra security got applied. He came out of Crocodile Dundee. He wasn't trying to get him to like him. I didn't actually know they did. I don't know what happened or what they saw or what Rocky moment. I don't know. I just know that a very popular Australian fighter named Robert Whittaker said, yes, Sean won them over, and I'm not surprised. He spoke to them. He acted like them. He dressed like them. He came and performed for them. He asked nothing of them. Like, this was Whittaker speaking. And that's very interesting to me. I know how North America has changed. I'll just remind you, Sean hasn't, and that's pretty unique and it's pretty cool.